Hi, welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. This Thursday edition just posted today's prayer on our website. Prayer from 2 Kings 24 and 25 on the Focal Point Facebook page, I should say. That's been posted there, and we will pin that prayer to the top of the page so you can find it if you would like. So the daily prayer has been posted on the Facebook website. Just did that on the break, and I'm going to pin that to the top right now. There it is. Now, speaking of the issue of abortion, one thing before we jump into that, it's intriguing that Halloween is in trouble all across the fruited plain. This is an interesting deal to me because this is an odd thing. But remember, Christians have been complaining about Halloween for years. It offends us. We find a lot of the stuff that happens in connection with Halloween. It's ghoulish, it's dark, it's about death, it's about the occult. And so we have complained about the celebration of Halloween, and we've made our wishes known to school administrators of, that's fallen on deaf ears, years and years and years and years fallen on deaf ears. Well, the interesting thing is it looks like multiculturalism, Christianity couldn't kill Halloween in the public schools, but multiculturalism just might. In other words, there are schools all across the fruited plain that are bagging Halloween. They are canceling. There's going to be no Halloween on our campus this year. And the reason is because all of these costumes, we can never know who is going to be offended by a costume that somebody else wears. And we can't have anybody offended by anything. So we're just going to scrap the whole thing. No costumes, no Halloween in the public schools. So what Christians could not do, multiculturalism may well accomplish. Now, you're aware of the fact that Richard Murdock, he is the Tea Party guy that defeated Dick Lugar in Indiana and is now running against Joe Donnelly, who is a moderate Democrat, has even got some pro-life sympathies. But Murdock is running against Joe Donnelly for the Senate seat in Indiana. And Murdock the other night, you remember, he said, look, if there is a rape, I do not think that we ought to put that child to death because God intends for that child to live. The life that's in that mother's womb is a life that God intends to be preserved and intends to be protected. Now, the left wing has gone absolutely apoplectic over what Richard Murdock said, as if he was saying that rape is something that God intends. And, of course, Murdock never said that. He said when life begins in that horrible situation, it is something that God intended to happen. When life begins, that is something that God intended to happen. He wasn't talking about the horrible situation of rape. Richard Murdock was not saying that the horrible situation of rape is something that God intends to happen. It is life. When that life has begun, that's a life that God intends to be protected and preserved. It's a human life, and God has plans for that life, and we must protect it because human life begins at conception. Now, the circumstances under which it has been conceived may be absolutely horrible. The father, the father of that child may deserve to die for what he did. I think we need to bring back the death penalty, frankly, for forcible rape. But we don't punish the child for the sins of the father. We don't punish the innocent child that was conceived through the rape that was carried out by the father. We punish the father, not the innocent child. In America, we do not punish children for the sins of their fathers. This is a fundamental principle of Western jurisprudence. Now, when we put a child to death because it's conceived in rape, we aren't punishing the father, we're punishing the child who has done nothing to deserve the death penalty. It's an execution, and it's torture because the child is dismembered in the womb of his mother. Now, it's interesting. I came across a piece on the New Republic. This is a winger left publication, a piece by Amy Sullivan, wrote it today, and she actually defends Murdock. Now, part of the reason the hysteria here is so out of place, and by the way, John McCain was out there just dumping all over Murdock. This is terrible. This is horrible. This is no good. I'm thinking about pulling my endorsement. And he's backing off today. He's saying, okay, changed my mind. I was a little hasty, because these Republicans are realizing, look, if you keep shooting your own wounded, you're going to wind up with no troops. How do you expect to take the Senate back? This is what I do not get about these blue blood Republicans, these country club Republicans like John McCain in that bunch. I do not understand why they think it's to their advantage to kneecap their own candidates. They've done that with Todd Akin. They've kneecapped that guy. They're not going to give him a dime, even if he's tied, Reince Priebus said. That guy could be tied with Claire McCaskill, and we wouldn't give him not even one penny. Reince Priebus didn't say we won't give him $1, we won't give him a dime. We will not even give him one cotton-picking red cent, even if he is tied with Claire McCaskill. That's how spiteful they are, and Akin has a legitimate shot at taking that Senate seat. And the senatorial committee say, hey, we're all about taking back the Senate. That's what we want to do. And here Akin could help them, and they will not lift a little pinky to help. Now, they were getting ready to do the same thing to Murdock, and they start saying, hey, wait a minute, we're going to start running out of guys after a while here. It's like the scene in Die Hard. We're going to have to get some more FBI guys if they keep crashing into buildings and blowing up. And this liberal columnist for the New Republic, Amy Sullivan is her name, and she writes today that she knows that Murdock was not talking about rape. She defends Murdock. This is what she said. She read the quote. She reproduces the quote I just read to you. The key word here is it, where Murdock says, even when life begins in that horrible situation of rape, it is something that God intended to happen. And what he'd said right before that, I came to realize that that life is a gift from God. So here's what Amy Sullivan says in the New Republic. The key word here is it. I think it's pretty clear that Murdock is referring to a life that is conceived by a rape. He is not arguing that rape is something that God intended to happen. So now you've even got some liberals who are willing to come out and say, hey, wait a minute, I think there's been kind of a gross overreaction here, a mischaracterization here. This is not right. This is not accurate. This is not even true. That's not what Richard Murdock was talking about. And anybody that knows Richard Murdock in Indiana, they absolutely know that there is no possible way that he thinks that there is any form of rape that God intends. And it's interesting that Josh Mandel, this is pretty cool. I love this guy, Josh Mandel. He's running for Senate in Ohio, and he's locked up in a race with Sherrod Brown there. But Josh Mandel is running for the Senate in Ohio, was the state treasurer, Richard Murdock, state treasurer in Indiana. So these guys got to know each other, and they are genuine, true blue conservatives. They're one of us on all these values issues. And Josh Mandel has been given the opportunity by the media to back away from Murdock, and he will not do it. McCain's backing away. You got the other leaders trying to back away. You got Romney backing away, saying critical things. But here's what Talking Points Memo says. This is a Winger Left website. The Republican nominee for Senate in Ohio, Josh Mandel, has taken a very different approach. He's given Murdock a big old bear hug. Mandel is unafraid to embrace Murdock despite the controversy surrounding him. Listen, I've gotten to know Richard because we're both state treasurers. We're treasurers in states next door to each other. He is a gentleman. He is a class act. He is a thoughtful guy. He will make a great United States Senator. And so I start saying to John McCain, hey, John, listen to your own people. They're showing you the way. Get off your high horse and help your colleagues take control of the United States Senate. Now, one other item along this that deals with the abortion issue and the election is Norma McCorvey. Norma McCorvey, and Jeff, we can get that soundbite ready to go. Norma McCorvey was the Jane Roe in Roe v. Wade. Her name is Norma McCorvey. She was the Roe. The Roe v. Wade thing, it involved her. It was about her. It was about a baby that she had conceived. Now, she lied in court and said that that child was conceived in rape. It wasn't. She was telling a total bald-faced lie because the attorneys that were working with her said, look, this will make a more sympathetic story, so they convinced her to tell an absolute bald-faced lie about the circumstances under which her baby was conceived. It had nothing to do with rape, she said. Now, she has come out with an ad, a very powerful ad. We're not going to play the video because the images are disturbing. Now, it's just true. The images are of aborted babies. So it's absolutely true. It's absolutely factual. It's absolutely powerful. We recognize because of the kind of viewing audience we may have here, we have to be a little bit careful. But I sent a tweet out today. Go up, Brian J. Fisher is my Twitter handle. If you want to see the ad, I sent a tweet out with a link to this ad today. It's a very, very powerful ad. But here's Norma McCorvey, the Roe of Roe v. Wade. She's weighing in this ad on behalf of unborn babies, and it leads her to take a very clear and definite position on the choice that voters face on November 6th. Let's listen.
I'm Norma McCorvey, the former Jane Roe of the Roe v. Wade decision that brought legal child killing to America. I was persuaded by feminist attorneys to lie, to say that I'd been raped and I needed an abortion. It was all a lie. Since then, over 50 million babies have been murdered. I will take this burden to my grave. Please don't follow my mistakes. Do not vote for Barack Obama. He murders babies.
So that's Norma McCorvey, Jane Roe of Roe v. Wade. Don't vote. Do not vote for Barack Obama. He murders babies. That's a pretty powerful statement there from the Roe of Roe v. Wade. And as we get to the end of this segment, just want to finish on kind of a very positive note. Got a piece here from the Heritage Foundation talking about the impact of fathers' involvement in the lives of their teenagers. And the point of this is based on social research, a father's involvement. In other words, if teenagers, both boys and girls, but it focuses on girls, if they have a father who is involved in their lives, cares about them, it delays teenage sexual activity. Here's what the Heritage Foundation, this is a study that's published in the journal Pediatrics. So this isn't the publication of the Family Research Council or American Family Association. This is the journal Pediatrics. And it has published a study which shows the importance of fathers in protecting children against negative outcomes from lower academic achievement to poverty. The study found that teens who have close emotional relationships with their fathers are more likely to put off sexual activity. The findings also show that teens delayed sexual activity if their fathers had disapproving attitudes toward teen sex. Now, there's a whole range of other positive outcomes: better academic performance, less use of substances, less delinquent behavior, far less child poverty. But dads, be encouraged. You make a difference in the lives of your teenagers. Never forget it. Focal Point AFR Talk.